Welcome back. I'm glad you're still with us here on Morning at NTV. Time now for a look at the KCCA casual workers dilemma. What solutions are being sought for this particular plight of these ladies and gentlemen? Before I introduce my guests, let me just give you a preamble. On Monday, city cleaners in Kampala took matters outside the Kampala Capital City Authority premises to protest unpaid salaries over the past 4 to 6 months. The pandemonium and the attention from the authorities that followed, including the security agencies who first got there and tear-gassed some of the workers. However, KCCA and the Kampala Minister forged an audience to address the dilemma in the payment of the casual workers' monies. Today we are talking to Maggie Wesonga. She is the KCCA Casual Workers Treasurer, Makindye SACCO. She's going to acquaint us with the state of affairs at City Hall and the plight of some of these workers. A very warm welcome to Morning at NTV, Ms. Wesonga.
Thank you very much.
First and foremost, I know on Monday there was a bit of pandemonium, but it was not the first kind of protest that we have seen. We've seen over the years KCCA workers protesting what they say are unpaid dues and sometimes deplorable working conditions. Of course, on a daily, many of us do encounter them, especially at around 4-5 a.m. in the morning when they are sweeping the streets to ensure that by the time the sun comes out, they are clean and crisp and ready for business. First, take us through what the issue is this time around.
Okay, now I'm going to give you the background of the community circles.
Okay.
Initially, when we had the executive director, Jennifer Musisi, she introduced the community circles in the 5 divisions. And those circles constituted all these workers, the casual laborers, the ones who clean the roads, who desilt, and the ones who do in landscaping.
Okay.
So we got a contract in
casual laborers,
the
ones who do the silting,
yes,
and then those who
sweeping, and landscape. So
we have 4 categories of casual laborers.
There are 3.
3, brother.
Yes.
Okay.
So we got a contract in 2017. So that contract expired in 2021 in September. But before that, the ED, when she was introduced maybe around 2020, she came with
the new ED.
Yes, the new ED. She came with a group called 7 Hills, and she used to go around with that group, claiming that they are cleaning the city, despite the fact that we had the contract and it was still running. So when we did a lot of engagements, that's when she decided to put 100 workers per division. So those 100 workers of 7 Hills were being paid through the SACCO. There being, she was breaching the contract we had by then. So when the contract got done in 2021, in September, we had a lot of issues where we had a contract sum, for instance, in Makindye, of 263 million, which was supposed to be dispersed every month to our community SACCO account. We have 2 accounts for the SACCO. We have the one for savings and the one for wages. Okay. So KCCA could send that money to the wages account, and for us as the SACCO, we do the necessary paperwork and we pay
to the savings.
Yes, account. We pay the casuals. So they never dispersed that contract sum to the SACCO, there being a challenge to us. They had given us workers from KCCA, for instance, the accountants. They are the ones working in our circles. So freedom of speech was not there. We got directives direct from the accountants to run the circles. So when we came to 2022, they initiated a bidding process where the council had to sit and decide depending on what was happening on the ground. Because we had gotten grudges, fights, 7 Hills were beating our workers. So the council of KCCA sat and decided to make a policy. That policy was supposed to divide divisions into 2. Whereby, for instance, Makindye was supposed to get Makindye East and Makindye West. So the policy gave us a priority since we are the first people in this system. And it was like, let us give us the community circle, the first priority, to take one division, and 7 Hills takes the other, constituents, in other words. So we went in for bidding, but the bidding process required a lot of things, where we had to have savings for almost 2 years, where we were supposed to present returns. We present to the cooperative. We had to get a statement from the bank to confirm our existence of 2 years and more than that.
Which are basic requirements. If,
yes,
you're
exactly.
dealing with huge sums of money.
Yes.
Couldn't you meet that?
Yeah, because we're in existence. But our counterparts, they never had. Yes, they never had those requirements.
But they were accepted nonetheless.
Yes, because when you went for bidding, we did it on a EGP system.
Which system?
EGP system.
EGP?
Yes.
What is that?
It's a system for government where you bid from.
Okay.
Bids are put there and you're supposed to bid from there.
All right.
So when you put the information there, at the end of the day, results were displayed. And to our surprise, for us we were around 1 billion, because that was the range we were in. Seven Hills, for them, the
1 billion capitalization.
Yes.
As in the amount of money you guys have.
Yeah, for the contract we're asking for. So now our counterparts, the first, let me say the first numeration for the first worker, they were giving them 10,000. And for us, we were giving them 6,000. Okay. So I managed to see the Egypt system, what it displayed, and for them, there were around 2 billion shillings for Makindye side. Now, when it came to Feb 2023, we were surprised when the KCCA announced that Seven Hills had taken the tender, the contract for cleaning. So we were asking ourselves, how did it come? Because we knew all the loopholes Seven Hills had. That's why on it was around 23rd, that's when we started to protest. We wrote
23rd of February
2023. We wrote to the procurement of KCCA, we wrote to the ED, we wrote to everyone responsible, the Prime Minister, we wrote to the Lord Mayor, to the Speaker. Nothing was given to us. That's why we started to persuade and push for answers. We started striking from there up to date. But before that, in the SACCO, people come and fill forms and save voluntarily. They decide to get some savings from their salary, from their wages.
That's right.
Yeah. So by the time they told us that the contract is over, we had already arrears. We were demanding we were demanding KCCA. KCCA was supposed to remit that money to the SACCO. Now, for instance, for Makindye, we are demanding them over 160 million for savings of the workers. Now, when you go to NSSF, you see from 2021 in September up to now, casuals have been working, and NSSF has been deducted, the 10% and 5% of the workers, but it has not been remitted to your account. Yes, to the account. When you go to NSSF, for instance, we have workers, most of them are clocking to 55, so they would like to access their benefits. But when they go to NSSF, they can't get that money. To be very clear, these NSSF benefits are voluntary contributions, because... No, it's mandatory. It's mandatory, yeah, as KCCA workers. Yes. When your government... Anyway, it was passed that any employee must remit NSSF. Yes. Okay. And specifically the technicality that sees KCCA pay wages and the savings on different accounts, that was your innovation, or it was how KCCA wants to do it? No, it was KCCA which did that. It was a directive that came from KCCA. You had to adopt a Actually, it's supposed to be like that. That you're supposed to have 2 accounts. You have to have an account where the contract's money is supposed to be dispersed, and where voluntary savings are supposed to be saved. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's understand. And this is a question, of course, I don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of the wages that many of these casual laborers do get. But give us a picture. You've talked about 3 categories of workers. And what is the range when it comes to wages and allowances or any stipend? Okay, now... So we can understand what is remitted for savings and what do they retain as the money they can use as their... Okay, now... For sweepers, for them they get 6,000 per day. 6,000 per day? Yes, per day. For a sweeper? Yes, that is 180 per month. So when you go to supervisors, they get 12,000 per day. When you go to landscapers, they get 12,000 per day. Now when you go to drainage, the ones who work in drainage, the first one gets 8,000, 12,000, and one who is skilled gets 20,000. Okay. Yeah.
Skilled being holding a certificate.
Yes, you have a certificate.
Okay. Diploma, degree, or any certificate only?
Any certificate, as long as you have a certificate. Because most of these workers, they never went to school. They are vulnerable. They are down to earth. Actually, for us, we just work to meet food and rent in Kampala here. Now we have now got to 5 months. This has been the system since the ED came. She has been taking 5 to 6 months without paying us, in that she had this plan. She had conflict of interest from day one. She wanted these community circles to get frustrated and leave the job. But unfortunately... To allow for 7 Hills to take over. To take over. Let me say unfortunately or fortunately, these workers had passed a lot of many problems where they could persevere and be there, because by the time we had the other ED, Jennifer Musisi, really, we just... All right,
let me just dive a little bit deeper into the circumstances that occasion the delay of pay. When you say this appears to be a consistent pattern, that pay takes as much as 5 months to come by, and then eventually it's paid up.
After striking.
After striking.
Yes.
And you think this is a deliberate move by the current executive director's administration?
Yes.
To frustrate these workers in order to allow for her preferred set of contractors to do the job?
Exactly. Because let me give you this. The bid wanted 250 workers per constituency. Okay. So now, for us, we are asking ourselves, this time they have been coercing us to join 7 Hills. Now we have been asking ourselves, if the bid wanted 250 minimum, what did the 7 Hills present in the bidding for them to win the contract? And some of our contract sum was alternated and changed on the EGP system. So now for us, we believe that KCCA technical team has conflict of interest in this matter. That's why they have been frustrating us. They are intimidating us. They are saying we are going to chase you from job, but I'm a casual worker. There's no how you can say you're going to chase me, because at any moment I can leave what? The job. So we have faced a lot of issues in this thing of...
All right. Tell us about the meeting that was called in light of the pandemonium that happened on Monday when the workers protested. The minister intervened. What was agreed on, or what kind of plan was availed?
Okay, before we came on Monday, we had an engagement with the Prime Minister. Okay. The Prime Minister called the Minister for Kampala, State Minister for Kampala, the Executive Director, and the DED, the Deputy, and other stakeholders. So we aired out our issues and our problems. So the Prime Minister gave KCCA an ultimatum of 2 days to pay the casuals.
When was that? The ultimatum was issued on?
It was issued on maybe 2 weeks back from now. 2 weeks back.
So that means by Monday, when the strike was on, that particular ultimatum hadn't been heeded.
Exactly, because we are in that meeting, the ED herself confessed with the DED that we have the money and we are going to pay these people. Give us only 2 days. We are going to pay the money. And secondly, they promised the Prime Minister that after giving them their arrears, in July, we are going to give them a contract. When we left that meeting, we went back, we started pushing. We have engagements day to day with our bosses, with the minister, every stakeholder. But now rumors started coming in that KCCA is not going to pay us. That's why casuals came on Monday when they are too bitter, because we have exhausted every opportunity we have gotten. We met the Speaker of Parliament, she gave an ultimatum. They refused to do what she said. We went to the Prime Minister, the same thing. So we said, if KCC wants us to just use force, these casuals are frustrated by now. They don't lose nothing right now. If you're telling me that you got workers from streets, let me say the thugs, the way she calls them, that I got the street kids from streets and I gave them jobs. Now you're pushing us, the ones who are responsible, again to go back to the streets and do the same things these people have been doing. First of all, these people, they were never taken to rehabilitation. Because you can understand that when you've been on streets for a long time, it means you've gotten some immoral behaviors where you cannot be just going to the society and you start associating with the people. You need to first go to rehab and they treat you.
There was a dirty thing like that?
Yes, because yesterday we were there at the monument with the Minister, Minister Kabanda, and the Honorable Ministers for Kampala representing workers. We were there having engagements. Then the leader of 7 Hills in Makindye went at our division looking for us and attacked the division. He almost beat the acting officer of Makindye division. So we find that this was not proper of just bringing these people into our society because they don't know how protocol runs. They don't know what they are supposed to do. Since for them, they don't have responsibilities, actually. They just come from drainages, they come and sweep and go back to the drainages.
Those are the 7 Hills guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we are saying she's not helping them. Instead, she's just creating insecurity in Kampala.
All right, that's an interesting one. People, or men, boys and women on the streets who have lived as street kids are co-opted into the working environment within the auspices of KCCA in order to counter the work of established contractors, and there is favor from the executive director. That is what you're saying? Exactly,
because we have clips, actually we have evidence. Everything we talk about, we have the evidence. If you will give me time, we shall produce that evidence. She has been heard on several occasions talking on behalf of 7 Hills, you can imagine. On radios, she had a conference of born agains and she was advocating for them, and she gave even a background where they came from, how she started it. So we found it that it was unfair. That's why we started pushing, and on Monday we pushed to an extent that we went even to Nakasero.
All right, what I gather from your submission is the fact that this is a baby project by the executive director.
Exactly.
And I don't see anything that you're going to do to counter what appears to be something that is here to stay. If your workers, the ones you superintend under the SACCO arrangement, are paid their arrears, and then some sort of certainty is established where they are paid on time for the next months to come, do you see yourselves working comfortably with 7 Hills?
Yeah,
or there are other issues with regard to working conditions or even the terms that you are working on that you think are a bit of pain points?
Yeah, exactly. We have a lot of issues.
Talk about them.
Relating to work.
Yeah.
First of all, the one I've just heard about, the contract sum.
Contract sum.
Now, let me give you an example. Per now, 7 Hills gets the contract sum, and it's given money of over 6,000 workers. Yet on ground, for us, we don't see them. They did verification, and the verification required someone to have a national ID. You're supposed to have an NSSF number. You're supposed to have an account in the bank. And most of these guys, they don't have accounts in the bank. They don't have details which can talk about them. So we have.
I mean, they've been taken off the streets. What kind of? They wouldn't really have these items: ID, NSSF. They haven't worked before to require an NSSF number.
But the requirements are you're supposed to have these things before you are enrolled in the system. Okay. So, as I told you before, we had accepted 7 Hills before. We were paying 100 members. By the time we had a contract, each division was assigned to 100 members. So we were paying them. For us, we didn't have any problem with them, because the former executive director, Jennifer Musisi, any person, any new member who could come, they could just come direct to the SACCO and join the SACCO.
All right. Ms. Wesonga, I'm afraid time is not our best ally. I want to ask you a question that should be able to show us the way forward. If these matters are not rectified, do you have a time frame or some sort of ultimatum? Do you intend to lead the workers into any other measure, relinquishing jobs, or tell us exactly what you're going to do if KCCA doesn't act as you want?
Okay, thank you very much. So for us, we are just praying. First of all, we are praying so hard, and we are praying for our bosses, God to just help them. Otherwise, they also have children. And for us, we are just praying God to reward them accordingly. So for us, we are saying as community circles that we are going to push up to the last hour. That's why we have managed to meet all the necessary people in the government, all the big people in the government, to help us, because we are foot soldiers of the president of this country. Any function which has ever happened in Kololo, the first people to be there have been us, the casuals, the 3,000 casuals in all divisions. So now for us, we are saying we are going to push until we meet the president. And I think the president has even heard our issues from day one. Okay. And I know one day he's going to call us and he will meet us. So we shall get the way forward from there, and we see what we shall do next.
All right, Maggie Wesonga, you are the treasurer, KCCA Casual Workers, Makindye SACCO. Many thanks for bringing us up to speed with what is no doubt a very precarious state of matters for the casual workers at Kampala Capital City Authority. That particular revelation does speak to the powerlessness that many Ugandans might find themselves in, especially when dealing with the big bosses or the big institutions. The revelation is that Seven Hills is a brainchild of the executive director at KCCA. It encompasses men, boys, and maybe women and girls who have been on the street and are being co-opted into the working environment as casual laborers to help KCCA. It might be an attempt to settle a long-standing problem for Kampala Capital City Authority, but that particular development does infringe on the rights and perhaps the privileges of another set of people who have been doing this job for a long while. And that is where the problem is. The tendency not to pay casual laborers, many of whom you encounter on a daily basis as you come to work in the early or wee hours of the day, is something that should be paid attention to. Now, the powers that be, the question is unto you. What are you going to do? The lady here has simply said a prayer to God. Now, God has a tendency of delaying some of his things, but you have the power. Your pen, your signatures could alter the trajectory for some of these men and women who have responsibilities. So the issue at KCCA is one that must be resolved as fast as possible, because it's a very intimate issue. That is a simple demand by the people who are powerless. I hope Morning at NTV can amplify these issues further so that they're taken care of.